going to be taking a deeper look at a Nintendo Switch today. Something that I didn't notice before is that there's quite a bit of movement on the inside of this Switch. It's kind of like rattling on the inside. It does look like we have a strip screw here on the bottom. It does look like we have a strip screw here on the top. Okay, so our rattling on the inside was just this battery being loose. It's got some play in it. I'm going to say that this is a new and replaced battery, probably, because we don't have any glue on the back side. It looks like the old one was possibly removed. Okay, I'm just taking a look at the heat signatures underneath here, trying to see if there's anything that's standing out. All that bright light there is just a reflection off of the metal. So we're just going to power it on and see if there's any changes on the back side. Doesn't really look like it. We're not really getting a boot up. Our main CPU should warm up a little bit. So, okay. I think we're gonna try and measure some capacitors and see if there's any short circuits or anything along those lines, but definitely a little bit weird. Went ahead and plugged in a battery from a different switch to see if we can get any change. It doesn't look like it. We have a solid voltage, but nothing's really changing as far as a current draw. I hit power on it again. Still no change in current draw. Although, it looks like we're going to boot. And that's only because there's actually power on here. And it's probably giving me an error because I don't have your actual chip, your memory chip installed. Okay, so it looks like it's going to want to boot. I don't think the battery, well, I don't think your battery that you have in there works. I think we're going to have to take the battery from this guy, install it into here. And then it's still not charging, so that's the other issue. So I got to figure out what's going on with the charging circuit and make sure we can get a current draw onto the battery. And we'll pick things up and go from there. Went ahead and put your chip on there this time. Let's see if we can get this guy to boot now. Still getting this error code. Okay, let's see what this is about. Okay, so doing some research into the codes that are out there. It looks like this chip right here is a common culprit, so we're gonna go ahead and lift that and replace it and see if we can get your system to boot. Okay, got some flux on our old chip. This is a new chip that's gonna replace it. Let's go ahead and lift it. Okay, our chip's been cleared. Okay, that's our new chip on. It'll look a lot cleaner and a lot nicer once we get the PCB cleaned up. Okay, so after replacing that chip, we do have a current draw finally. That's drawing at 0.09 amps, the way that's supposed to. And I didn't catch it in time, but it started at 0.46, which is also what it's supposed to do. So I'm very optimistic about this. Let's go ahead and plug it in, and let's see if we can get it to boot. 46 amps. That should drop down to 0.09 here. It did. It's 0.09. Switch is booting up. Got a screen again. Still the same error, even after replacing the chip. Let's see if we can do a hard reset on it. 2162-002. Actually, that's a different error. We did replace that chip, so it might be struggling to replace. Okay. 2162-0002. Alright, we're gonna have to look into something else. Okay, looks like your game cartridge reader is having issues, is what that was. But here we are. We're in. We got a boot. We're charging. And I think everything is looking good. So what's next for us here is we're gonna go ahead and get this system torn apart, get everything cleaned up, and get this back to you. Yeah, been letting this go for a little while and still charging, and that bar is going up pretty good. So all this, I think, is looking very encouraging and very exciting. Because this guy is actually being held together just like... All right, so we're just gonna try and take a look at the Joy-Cons here. One of the first things I'm noticing is that A button might not be working right. It looks like it just tried to pair again there. That was a little weird. So we're just gonna go ahead and go in here manually. And I'm gonna see what's going on with controllers. Controllers and sensors. Let's come down here. Test input devices, test controller buttons. Oh, it's pressing there. A, B, X, Y. That right trigger doesn't look like it's working on that right side. And that just keeps reconnecting and disconnecting. So that's a little bit weird, admittedly. Okay. Oh, pushed me all the way back out. Let's go back. Controllers and sensors. Input devices. Controller buttons. Okay. Left one looks good. And let's take a look at how we're centering. Motion controls. Okay, I don't want to do that. Should be able to test. Where do I test? I guess that must be where it's at. There we go. That one looks good. Looks like I have a little bit of drift on the left analog. So since we're going into both, we might as well replace both sticks. And then that right trigger there. And we should be pretty good to go after all that's said and done.